Welcome to the user assembly manual for our range of modular aluminium structures. The model shown in this video is 10 meters wide and 12 meters long. To erect your aluminium structure, you will need the following tools: a 4 kilogram mallet, a step ladder, a 16 gauge spanner, a 17 gauge spanner, 2 double decameters. You will need a team of at least 3 people to successfully assemble the structures in the range. These people must wear the appropriate safety equipment. The assembly manual, which you are about to watch, contains 7 chapters, including assembly and disassembly of the aluminium structure. To ensure that the assembly operations are completed successfully, first check that there are no obstacles or obstructions, such as manhole covers or electrical cables, at ground level or above in the desired installation zone. Next, using the guide provided, check that all of the components corresponding to your aluminium structure are present to ensure that you have everything you need to erect your structure. To install the first 12-meter long side, take 2 stakes, the guy ropes and the requisite number of plates. For a 12-meter structure, you'll need 5 plates. Position the first stake in alignment with the long side, 1 meter before the first plate. Then do the same at the other end, this time 1 meter after the last plate. Stretch the rope between the 2 stakes. If the structure is longer than the rope, extend it using the second rope. Secure the first plate using a single stake, without fastening it rigidly to the ground. Following the rope, place the remaining plates on the ground at 3-meter intervals until you reach the end. One by one, stake each plate without fastening it rigidly to the ground. Once you've done this, use triangulation to square off the other long side and put the first plate on the opposite side in place. To do this, take the 2 double decameters and put one operator on the first plate with his decameter set to 10 meters from the plate. Then a second operator on the second plate with his decameter set to 10.44 meters from the plate. This is the diagonal length to reach the plate 10 meters across from the first plate. For the diagonal distances needed to set the other plate locations, refer to the relevant guide. The third operator places the first plate at the point of intersection of the 2 decameters. This will form a right angle between the gable and the long side. Stake this plate in place without fastening it rigidly to the ground. Place the next plate 3 meters from the first plate on that side and 10 meters from the plate on the opposite side. Stake this plate in place without fastening it rigidly to the ground. Repeat this operation with the other plates until you reach the end. The final layout must be identical to the bird's eye view. The first phase is complete, so you can now start to arrange the components for the frame. This step consists of positioning all of the frame components on the ground as close as possible to where they will be assembled, in order to avoid any unnecessary handling. Position the lateral posts on the ground between each plate along the length of the long side, on both sides of the structure, with the steel connection unit facing up. The first truss must be assembled the opposite way round from the other trusses. Now position the following components: half trusses, ridge caps. The rest of the components, lower purlins, intermediate purlins, gable cross ties and gable posts, according to the models, must be positioned along the long sides, ensuring that they won't get in the way when raising the trusses. Once this operation is complete, you should end up with this. Take the screw packets and place on each plate a rod and a better pin, with 2 better pins for each corner plate, then the requisite number of locking pins for each truss. This equates to 8 pins for the unbraced trusses and 4 for the braced trusses. Distribute the roof straps, with 4 for the front and 4 for the back section, as well as 4 for any non-adjacent intermediate sections for structures longer than 21 meters. Next, position the ground pole corner attachments at each corner of the structure. Change the way that the pre-assembled screws face on the lateral posts, so that on the end trusses, the butterfly nuts are towards the inside of the structure, and on the braced base, the butterfly nuts face each other. You can now start to assemble the trusses. Position the lower end of the lateral post on the base plate and lock the interior part using a rod, then the outside part using the better pin. Slot the half truss into the top of the post, slot in the ridge cap, and then do the same for the half truss on the opposite side. Take 2 straps, unfasten the ring and the clevis located directly underneath the turnbuckle, pulling the turnbuckle down as far as possible. Raise the truss using a wooden block placed under the ridge. Lock the half trusses together using the remaining 2 threaded rings on the straps by screwing them on as close as possible to the ridge. Repeat this operation on the following truss, working the other way round. Now move on to assembling the transoms and the posts of the gable. Position the end of the right gable transom with the 2 steel plates at the lowest hole of the half truss and screw it on using the ring and clevis uncoupled from the strap. Then lock it into place using a spanner and repeat the process for the left gable transom. Screw the top end of the 2 gable posts into the hole at the midpoint of the truss with the aluminium plate facing outwards. Using the bolts provided, secure the right and left transoms to the gable posts by placing them between the 2 aluminium brackets, ensuring that the components are flush with the exterior. Repeat the operation for the central transom. Use a spanner to secure the fastenings. Position the diagonal bracing crosses by opening them on the lateral posts and bringing the 2 steel end brackets up to the butterfly nuts. Then fix it into place with the cross facing upwards. Repeat the operation on the posts on the other side. You have now completed the assembly of the first truss. You can now assemble the truss at the other end in the same way, and the intermediate trusses without the fastenings. These are locked in place using 4 tilting pins per half truss. To avoid working at height, you can assemble the gable covering on the ground. Take the relevant canvas components. These form a unit comprising a right and a left half gable. Take the first and unfold it lengthwise, inserting the edge into the upper exterior neck of the half truss, and slide it along until it reaches the ridge cap. Repeat the operation for the second half gable covering. Now lace them together using the cords, using the technique shown in the video. Secure the lower part of the gable coverings to the gable transom using hooks. Walk around the structure, checking to see that all of the frame components are present and fully locked into place. Once you have done this, you can start to raise the structure. Position yourselves at the ridge of the first truss, which is raised in the opposite way to the others, and begin to lift it. Spread yourselves out along the widths of the truss, up to the lateral posts. Once it is vertical, put the diagonal bracing crosses against the outer sides of the plates on the next truss. This will help avoid any problems when erecting it. Raise the second truss and, following the same procedure, screw the diagonal crosses to the top and bottom using butterfly nuts. Position the first lower purlin using the rounded hook, then put the other end in place. Repeat this operation for the adjacent intermediate purlins, using a pole right up to the opposite lower purlin. Make sure that you follow the correct order of assembly. Take a strap and fix it diagonally to the clevis on the opposite corner. Repeat this for the 3 remaining straps, then tighten the structure, but not excessively. Your support bay is now assembled. Erect the next trusses using the same method, up until you've raised the final braced bay. You have successfully assembled the frame. The next phase is to put the canvas covering in place. Take the ropes. Throw one rope, carabiner end first, over the first bay, and then throw the second one over the first bay in the same way. With the openings facing upwards, hook the carabiners to the rings on both sides of your unfolded roofing. At the same time, thread the sides of the canvas into their respective slots. Next, 2 operators pull simultaneously and vigorously on the ropes, while the third ensures that the canvas goes smoothly up and over. Once the roofing is in place, attach both ends by passing the hooks under and around the lower purlins. Following the same procedure, put the remaining roofing in place. Take the left or right 3.40 meters gable wall and slot upwards then downwards the siding of a half wall into the opening halfway up at the outer corner of the lateral post. Make sure that the slot for the ground pole is on the outside of the structure. Then slot the alternating half wall tabs into the slot on the upper right or left gable transom. Put the remaining walls in place and set them up in the same way. Once the walls are all in place, fasten them by lacing up the cords. Hook the overhanging roof flaps to the corresponding pegs, then Velcro the roofing side flaps together. To start, gently knock back the plate pin in order to put in place the support for the gable corner ground pole. Then knock it back into position and lock it with the better pin. Repeat this operation for the 3 remaining corners. On the gable poles, remove the lower slide piece, raise the plate, then lock it using the rod and pin. Next, adjust the height of the gable post according to the ground you are building on. Repeat this operation for the 3 other gable posts. When you have finished, look to see whether it is all properly aligned and peg it into place. Slide the relevant ground poles into the slots at the base of the wall, all along the long sides and gables. Lock them into place on the plate rods using the better pins. Once the ground poles are in place, take the remaining stakes and fasten the plates rigidly to the ground. Your structure is now ready for use. To take your structure down, follow the assembly order backwards. Start by taking the wall and roof covering components down, ensuring that you fold up each half wall with its other half. Unhook all of the modules attaching the canvas to the lower purlins. Pull them off one by one, maintaining the accordion fold as they come off the long side. This will facilitate the next assembly procedure. Take down the canvases on each gable, storing them in pairs. Once all of the canvas has been removed, unscrew the roof straps from the lower purlin on the first bay. Undo the diagonal crosses, then progressively disassemble all of the trusses until you reach the other end. Repack all of the components according to your packing plan, ensuring that no pieces are missing. The most fragile part of your structure is the canvas covering. It is important to fully clean and dry it before storage, especially if storing it for an extended period of time.